Welcome back to Five Formations. It's myself, Culture Cams, and of course, I am joined by the one and only Mr. Rio Ferdinand. How are you today?
I'm good. You?
I'm all good, man. Man United are flying, so of course I'm absolutely buzzing. But guys, first and foremost, can you make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the 5 UK YouTube channel, and so you can see this amazing content. Because as I was saying, 10 wins in 13, 6 wins in our last 9 in the Premier League. I'm absolutely buzzing at the moment. The United fans in the 5 channel are absolutely hating me at the moment because I said Gerrard's better than Scholes, and we won't get into that, but I'm here to...
You made your bed, you lie in it.
Yeah, I'm here to get their trust back. But, you know, the last 2 games, Spurs and Chelsea, I think have actually been really impressive performances from United on the ball and off the ball. And it looks a little bit more like a Ten Hag team that he probably wants going forward. Are you kind of maybe surprised of how quickly Man United are starting to adapt to his ideas?
No, I think it's a steady pace of improvement. I think that the first 2 games obviously were horrific, and the Man City game was a crazy game. But outside of that, there's been positives. I feel defensively is the area first of all that he's made us better, and the two guys, stroke 3 guys that probably have really added to that is the partnership of the 2 centre-backs, Martinez and Varane, and then Casemiro coming and playing in front of that in the last 2 games especially has showed that he's worth. But I think defensively we look much stronger. But I think a real impressive thing for me that's a massive improvement in the Man United team recently is our ability to play through the thirds. Get through the lines and play up to the final third. I still feel the final third, we have a lot to work on this. 100%. It's not functioning properly, but getting the ball from back to front now seems much more fluid, and it seems like we have a way of playing now.
Yeah. Do you think who do you think is the most important factor of that? Because I point to Lisandro Martinez, and I also point to the introduction again of Casemiro coming in, because now United can kind of play in a more of a sole anchor kind of role with Casemiro. But I want to touch on Lisandro Martinez first. I feel like when Man United are on the ball, the defenders give him the ball to be the one to fire those balls into the midfield, into Eriksen or Fred, whoever it may be, or sometimes directly to a Jadon Sancho or Luke Shaw if he's higher up here. How important do you think he is to Manchester United's build-up? I
think in the modern game, the centre-backs, or one of them at least, have to be able to play. And he is a very good passer of the ball. It's funny because every single person I spoke to, Edin van der Sar, Darren Fletcher, etc., people in recruitment, talk to me about his attributes, people that have had to watch him before he come in the recruitment area. And they all said one of the main things was how good he was with the ball. How tenacious he is, yes, but his ability with the ball is one of the standout areas of his game, and he's shown that so far. He's passing from, say, here into the Brunos or the Eriksens here, or even just lending it into a Casemiro here. And the other people's confidence to give him the ball is key. So he's very good in that sense. But I just feel this partnership here, Varane and him now, as well, that's going to be a difficult thing to contend with. But these two have given us the ability, the platform. And I always said this, if you get this here right, it allows everything else to go and play. But then you add that there. And if anybody watches the show on the 5 platform, they know that there's a couple of guys on the platform very disrespectful to this player here, right here. But he's come in and proved that if you can get this position right, how important it is as well to allow freedom for then these guys to move up the pitch. And what I was going to say, that triangle there is so important. You've got that triangle, which is important, but then you've got that triangle in front, which is really important. And that's where I think you have to, in football that happens, then you all of a sudden create a triangle here. The triangles then become all up the pitch here. Do you know what I mean? And it goes through the whole pitch. But it's very important that this guy understands his role. And my problem with United before, why we haven't had the platform, one, this hasn't been good enough. But this player in this position has to understand this role. Has to be a professional in that position. And unfortunately, whatever good qualities McTominay has, whatever good qualities Fred has, they wasn't specialised in this position. You have to have the ability to smell danger, to be able to know when to go across, when to jump out. This guy is the best in the business at doing it.
I fully agree. He's got that kind of idea where it's like, I want to defend first. He'll play later, which I think this country kind of slept on actually how good he is on the ball. I think he's been very calm on the ball. He's been giving passes forward to the Brunos, to the Eriksens, to Fred or whoever it is in front of him. I think him in there has just been so important to what Man United are doing at the moment.
I think a difference at Real Madrid, why you didn't probably see him on the ball as much, is because Kroos and Modric don't play the way that Eriksen and Bruno play. Eriksen and Bruno play quite high.
Yeah.
When they're developing play, especially at Madrid, Kroos would come here.
Yeah.
And Modric sometimes will come here.
And it comes into like a double pivot.
So then all of a sudden they get the ball and they bypass him and play. Then they catch up with play, and then he just sits and slots there. So he doesn't get as much of the ball. But in this team, they use him to get out a lot of the time. But he's been really important, I think, in the way that securing the back and not allowing teams to transition against us. But also, as you say, being one of the players to play through to get out is really important.
I was at the Spurs game and I was just like watching him for a little bit. And anytime the opposition have the ball, he sometimes just drops into here as well. Allows Martinez to go there and Varane to go there. And especially Martinez, who I think one thing that's really good at the moment about Martinez and Varane is that Varane's the one with the pace. So I'm not sure if it's similar with you and Vidic, but you might be the one that drops off because you know anyone that tries to go long and then Martinez or Vidic, they attack the man. And especially against Spurs, Harry Kane, anywhere he went, Martinez was there, first touch, second touch, and Varane will just wait for the Son.
It felt to me that Kane will almost like thought, I'm going to go and stand on him. I don't think I'll get much change out of Varane. And this is what happens a lot. Forwards will identify a player. They feel, I think I'm going to get more change and more joy here. I think he thought him, and everyone's talked about Martinez's height and he's lacking physicality.
Makes up for it, man.
He makes up for it in his tenacity and he's understanding of putting players off balance.
He's timing,
he's timing when he hits them to get them off balance and stuff. So at the moment, he isn't being isolated. A big point is teams aren't being able to pen Man United back right now and say, right, defend here for long periods. That's where he will be coming under more scrutiny and it'll be more testing for him and challenging. If you've got a Mitrovic coming over the back of Tony, etc., coming over the back of Haaland, if they're pinned back like that, then he's going to be more of a problem. But the way Erik Ten Hag's playing, and he obviously knew this from when he had him at Ajax, I'm not going to allow him to be put back here. We're going to try and dictate play. You look at the Chelsea game, you look at the Spurs game, we had big amounts of them games. So our team is up here. Do you know what I mean? And we're not penned back there for having to defend. So he's having to win the ball on the halfway line, and he's really good at that. And that's what I've really been impressed with him. Yeah,
you basically kind of touched on it a little bit, and it's perfect the way it's actually set up at the moment. Man United in the press under Ten Hag have actually been in a kind of a 4-1-4-1. And Casemiro being there has allowed, as you mentioned, Eriksen and Bruno or Fred to press higher. These two, Anthony, his intensity is really good. And
he's great in a transition when they win it.
Yeah, off the ball, I think he's fantastic as well. And Sancho, not having the greatest moment at the moment, but he's actually understanding when to go, when to stay. And Rashford, of course, is also always a nuisance. This press has been so impressive. Is that something that we haven't seen at United in many, many years?
There's reasons why we haven't seen it. This person or one of these normally controls the press, or is it shouts the press, understands, and players obviously have an understanding of themselves, but in the game you need someone to go. And like I said, I'm not picking on McTominay or Fred, but they don't know because they're not specialists here. So you'd get the players in these positions like a Bruno or whatever would just be jumping because they just feel that they want to jump. When you've got someone like this here and say, well, no. You go when I'm telling you, or when I say go, or when I'm in position, you feed off of me. You react to where I am, and then you go. And I think Bruno looks much better having that behind him because he knows what's going on. And what would happen sometimes before, Fred will just jump out there when they go to press, and all of a sudden there's a big gap there, and they're all pressed, but the space is there now, and teams would find it. So.
Rarely find Casemiro ahead of the game.
Yeah, so that security is so important. It allows these not to go without looking back behind their shoulders because they're not worried about anything because they know they've got that experience there. But I think our press has been very good. Yeah. We've won the ball back off teams and we're dictating play and we're controlling games. My only concern at the moment, if I'm being really picky, and we all are as fans and we always want more, is when we get in these areas here.
On the ball. It's not decisive
with
enough.
the ball, we don't get what we want out of it. There's no the decisiveness isn't there, but the spark. I don't see a beat a man, get here, and then all of a sudden their defenders are struggling. I've got to reassess my position now. The opposition's defenders a lot of the time are just set because we ain't 1v1 going bang.
Yeah, I think an issue is also, I think Anthony likes to come inside a lot, and looks like he's got a decent whip on him. On the left-hand side, I think an issue is when it's like maybe a Luke Shaw, he has the ball and he's like driving here, because Man United like to create overloads, and maybe a Dalot will switch the ball over. So now you've got a situation where you potentially got Sancho in a 1v1, but Shaw's coming here. When Shaw's running with the ball, Sancho's watching him. I don't think he's making enough runs infield like there. If you look at Anthony's first 2 goals for United, not the City wonder goal, but the first 2 goals was simply just through making those type of runs. And I think Sancho, if he can make those inside kind of runs and make defenders think about it, I think then it allows someone like a Rashford to be able to get tap-ins. Because what Man United don't do is create opportunities for tap-ins. It never happens.
It doesn't happen for 2 reasons. When we get the overload, there's not enough of that happening, where you're creating 2v1s here. And when we're getting, I've seen so many times in recent weeks where we've got 1v1 here, Anthony or Sancho, and they haven't beat the man.
They pass it back to midfielders, always. Yeah.
And the one thing that I was always confident in Man United, our whole thing was about Scholesy, Carrick, whoever it was on the ball, Giggsy, whoever, get these boys 1v1 here and say beat them.
That's Nani, Cristiano, Valencia, all those type of guys. Giggs, they'll beat them. Giggs,
Go and attack them. We played to say, please get them 1v1, right? Please, because we know that they're either going to beat them or put the ball across the box.
Yeah,
and that isn't happening enough once we get in these situations. Yes, it's great to recycle and come out, go out the other way, come back in again. But when you get these guys 1v1, that's what you dream of. These guys must wake up off their pillow on the morning of a game going, you get me 2-3 1v1s, please. And I'm at least getting a cross in the box. I'm at least picking someone out and surely a chance on target. But that's not happening at the moment. That's my only point in this team where I'm looking at the moment and going, we need more.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel
and that
like
brings me to Ronaldo.
Yeah, we can get into Ronaldo. I was going to say, so with Rashford up front, I think he had an amazing game against Spurs. Amazing is maybe an over-exaggeration. I think he had a really good game against Spurs, particularly.
Done everything but score.
But score, I mean, we could have been walking away saying match ball, masterclass. Like, the performance was great, the press, the energy, the intensity. That's something that, of course, Ten Hag loves. And that's something which maybe Ronaldo doesn't offer in terms of as full-paced and intense as Rashford. But what he does offer is obviously putting the ball in the back of the net. We know what Ronaldo's about. What's your take on this whole situation? Because I know you've been spoken about on BT and these type of stuff.
On the show yesterday. But I don't think, sorry to cut you, I don't think that if Rashford came in and was running around like a Carlos Tevez, I'd get the difference and I'd go, wow, I can see the glaring difference in terms of intensity of winning the ball back. Marcus puts in shifting, but I don't look at it and go, there's a glaring difference between what he does or compared to what Ronaldo does without the ball. I think Marcus has done really well. And I think it was only Lloris who had an absolute worldie against him that stopped him getting 2 or 3 goals. But saying that, you look at it and think, would Cristiano Ronaldo improve this team? I think he does. I think we've probably got 4 or 5 more goals in this, and there's a difference in that maybe 2 or 3 games with them goals.
But do you think though, I think Man United, because Man United have been playing well, not to the extent where we can say we're going to win the league or anything like that, but because they've been playing well, do you think it's justified for Erik Ten Hag to have Cristiano on the bench? Because with, for example, the situation that happened, the walking off the pitch and stuff, is the situation really going to change? I'm confident he's going to come back, be back to first team training, etc. But I don't think Ten Hag will still see him as his starting striker. So how does the situation really improve? What if he's on the bench for the next 3 games? Does he walk off again on the 3rd game, or how does
I think I said it on the show yesterday, and I'll say it again here. It comes down to communication. With a player like Ronaldo and his experience and what he's achieved in the game and the impact that he can have on this team, and in that changing room, you have to communicate with someone like that. What are you going to be doing with him? Where's he going to get his minutes, etc.? Once you do that, he's not a problem. He might not be happy with it, or he might not be okay with the amount of minutes, but actually he can digest it and understand it and compute it, rather than reacting and being emotional in the moment. But I think Ronaldo will get minutes, and I don't think he's in the manager's plans. I think he's set his stall out already that Cristiano is not going to be my starting number 9 in the main games. He's proved that in the teams that he's picked. But then you look at it and go, well, why did you actually keep him here? Because if you thought that he wasn't going to be your main number 9, did you not think that he would be kicking up a fuss and be going, hold on a minute, because of the player he is? So
did he get? But obviously, you might not necessarily particularly know, but there's a lot of talks that, like Ornstein, I know he's a friend of the show. He said that he didn't really have much offers from like top clubs that are suitable for Ronaldo. So was it maybe a situation where he said, okay, look, him and Ten Hag had a conversation. Yeah, you're going to get minutes, of course. But at the end of the day, look, because it's Ronaldo, it's such a big thing, but he is turning 38. It's the fact that he's even here is a credit. So do you think...
You've got to talk to him, man. You've got to tell you, like in the summer, if you said, listen, you can go, but if you do stay, you're going to have limited minutes. I don't think that conversation was had.
Okay.
So the conversations or the desire from Cristiano to then maybe go out and get another club would have intensified, I'm sure. So if that conversation hasn't been had, then I think that's the fault of the manager or the club. But listen, he's 37, 38 years old. Yeah, that's fine. But at the same time, he was top goal scorer last year.
That's the thing, though. With Ronaldo, he will score goals in terms of, like, he's still a good finisher. Anywhere else he goes, he will score goals, 100%. But do you think United even play to his strengths necessarily? At this point of his career, I think he kind of needs chances, easily fall into him. I mean, he's not as dynamic and sharp as Haaland, but Haaland is getting chances created for him every single week.
You say that he needs chances put on a plate, etc. What about the Everton goal? He ran from the halfway line.
But that was through in transition,
No, but United, that's the way Man United are going to play. That's where have 2 of the 3 goals from Anthony come from? Transition.
Yeah, transition. Yeah,
that's football today.
Yeah, I hear it. I do see
Ten Hag's point.
He
don't want to hear it, but he hears it.
No, I hear Ten Hag. The thing is, I hear Ten Hag's point. Like, I see why Ten Hag isn't starting him. And I still think when Martial comes in, he's going to look at him. Only thing is, Martial is unreliable in terms of fitness. So you can't bank on him at all. At least Ronaldo's always got the availability. However, Ten Hag kind of looks at it. He's the type of manager that looks at 90-minute games. He wants to dominate every aspect. And I just think he thinks Ronaldo, you're kind of having to carry him along. And he might score a goal, but I think he's
physically?
Not physically, just like through his hold-up play, through his pressing, through his dynamism. I think he just thinks Ronaldo doesn't offer what maybe a Rashford or a Martial can offer
I think the manager is entitled to that. I'm not sitting here saying that Ronaldo has to play every game. The manager makes his decision. I think that's fine, and that's final. And as a team, you've got to go with that. But you have to communicate that to someone like Cristiano Ronaldo because you know that if he is then disgruntled or kicks up a fuss, you could win 5-0, 6-0, 7-0, 8-0, but Ronaldo will be the first question you get in the press conference, and it's going to just destabilise what you're trying to achieve. So preempt that.
Do you think he's handled it well in the pressers? And
I think he's handled it.
Ten Hag, by the way.
Ten Hag retrospectively. Well, and the only way that he could really, and he's gone, this is what I'm doing, and he's trying to set a culture and set a precedent with Cristiano's if his behaviour has been out of line. But what I'm saying, he shouldn't get to that.
Yeah,
that's where I think the mistake is. He shouldn't get to that point.
Yeah, I fully agree. And just before we wrap it up, I just want to quickly talk about another Portuguese player, and that's Dalot, who I think has made major improvements this season. What have you thought about him previously, and what do you think about him now?
I had big doubts about him, but again, he's a young kid. He's come in this season and he's being backed. And he's a good case study really for players confidence-wise when they're backed by a manager, the different levels they can then go through, the gears they can go through. Is he the finished article? Is he the answer to that position? I think that's still to be answered with performances and a bit of time. But at the moment, a lot of the attacking play, like a lot of teams, is going through the wide areas, and he's doing well. He's coping well with it.
Yeah, I think he's been really impressive. He's kind of turning into a little bit of a leader of the team as well. And one thing I think we're starting to see in this team is we've always complained there's no leaders in the team. And I actually think we're starting to see it with Martinez, with Casemiro, Dalot, and Bruno, of course, is a dressing room leader. So I think this team is building. What do you see for the future? The next 5 games are pretty, there's a stat out there. United in the last 9 games, forget the first 2 games of the season, they're third, same points as City, 2 points behind Arsenal. And the top 6 teams in the form table, United have played all of them, and now the next 5 games are like the bottom 11 or something like that. Do you think maybe United can put down a run of form, a win streak? Because all of a sudden you win 3-4 games,
changes
this
everything.
Premier League is so weird that you win 3-4 games, you might be sitting second in the table or anything like that.
Yeah, but they got to get these results. They got to win these games, and I think that we could have sit here and said, "Oh, Brentford would be a decent game that you think United could win." Do you know what I mean? And we don't. Brighton, you would have assumed, okay, Man United will win that game. So I don't put any kind of more value on certain games because of the name of the team. I think this team have still got a lot of proving to do.
100%.
And so we have to wait, take game by game.
For sure. Guys, that was another episode of 5 Formations. Some interesting discussions in there. Of course, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe to stay in tune with this content. Let's hope Man United keep trucking, man. 10 wins in 13.
Let's go.
Let's keep it going, man. The Redeem team. We're out.